Hello, welcome to another episode of On the Floor with Wayne and Rob. I'm Wayne Highlander with Bona Adhesives.
I'm Rob Johnson with the Bona Training again.
Hey, Rob, I just wanted to talk about, just to touch on a subject here that as contractors, we take on, I say we, it's still in the blood, take on a lot of liability and a lot of responsibility. Some things are out of our control. Some things are in our control. I always talk about, you know, you want to put as many things on your side of the ledger as you can. Of all the unknowns that are out there, that's why I talk about why a contract is so important, why a meeting of the minds and clear communication is so important. I ran across something the other day that a contractor is, kind of dealing with, and I just thought it was interesting, and it comes up maybe enough that it might make sense to talk about it. And what the guy's dealing with is he's putting a pre-finished floor, and he's showing like water spots and household cleaning products and things that are kind of like staining the floor, right? That you wouldn't expect it to happen on a pre-finished floor, which is in a well-maintained home, and expensive floor, you know what I mean? And look at the install. The install is beautifully installed. The boards are staggered nice. The floor is nice and level or flat. So then signs of stains start happening on the floor. Okay, which the contractor is getting the blame for. All right. So looking at the floor, I'm thinking, all right, well, it's a very, very low sheen floor. Okay. And it's a pre-finished floor. And it looks like, almost looks like tan and pool, but it's not. Like little water drops or little sections of the floor, especially in the kitchen, right? Where things have been spilled onto the floor. So I looked up the manufacturer, and it's aluminum oxide floor, right?
Wow.
Well, yeah, wow, because you figure UV cured finishes or like that are rather impervious to normal staining, right? The factory could have. So okay, what could happen? What could have went wrong with that? And whose fault is it? Because hey, you did everything right as a contractor. So I asked a good friend of mine who worked on that side of the business one time, and I asked him, what could happen that would cause this? And he said it's a possibility that the factory could have undercured the finish. Okay, is one possibility. But if that's the case, you would also see the finish marring and scratching easier than normal, which makes sense, right?
Sure.
Another thing to consider, you see this trend that's with low sheen finishes. Sometimes a matting agent used to lower the gloss level with low sheens. The matting agents can migrate to the surface of the stain during production. And depending on the matting agent, it could be treated with wax, or that wax could possibly hold stain, which might be one of the issues. But another one that which I tend to think this happens more than we think, with the trends, with the manufacturers trying to meet the trends of this low sheen finishes, but they use aluminum oxide finishes to get there, right? And that's that the top coat is applied extremely thin. So yeah, it's aluminum oxide, but it's put on really thin to give that low sheen wear layer. And that with that minimal thickness, you could very well have some pores creating pockets where stain could be trapped. And a lot of times, in order to achieve the extremely low gloss numbers, the amount of top coat is so scaled back, which helps reduce the gloss. But if you reduce it back too much, you've got an extremely thin layer with minimal protection. Okay. Now, add that to a wire brush floor, and you can see where that would be a challenge, right? Yeah. And I only say this because I've seen this happen a few times now, when the flooring guy was like kind of left on the hook, like, hey, what, you put it in, it's just not holding up. And where this really shouldn't be the floor guy's deal at all.
No, not at
Make
all. He's all he did was install it. He didn't coat it. It's not his
Yeah,
coatings. But the homeowner doesn't care about that.
no, homeowner doesn't care about that.
I
Uh,
mean, the only thing that maybe he could get away with is if the homeowner was the one who bought the product and he installed it. Then you might be
yeah,
able to say, hey, you bought the wood. But
yeah,
if it didn't go that way,
and it
they
didn't.
didn't buy the wood and it was supplied by the
Yeah,
contractor, yeah, this poor guy's on the hook for it.
yeah. So I said there's a lot of things as a contractor that are out of your control, or that they buy a brand new, or they bring in a big dog into the house. You know what I mean? That it wasn't there when you were doing the floors. They bought a puppy, and all of a sudden the floor scratching or whatever, and you're on the hook for that. And there's a lot of things out there that are out of the contractor's control, where it's really a manufacturer. In this case, I think a manufacturer issue. So I just think that I'm lucky enough. I know a guy who's in the business, and because I would not have known this on my own. I had to do some investigating, like what would cause that. And he's more of an expert in the matter. So, and it makes sense that manufacturers are trying to, uh, the um, the oiled floors, are big now, and I don't know if they're waning, or if they've reached the top of the bell curve and they're going down, or if that look is still as popular as it was. But a lot of manufacturers are trying to get that look, and I can see them saying that, yeah, we can get that with our finish, but we just have to really scale it back because
Yeah,
aluminum oxide's got a pretty good sheen to them.
right.
Enough.
I think we're over the hump with that stuff. I mean, even with our with training, and we're just getting less and less and less guys. Even going for the oil floor and wanting to know about it. I mean, 4 years ago, everybody coming through the door. Are we going to wire brush? Are we going to do craft oil?
Mhm.
Are we going to do our oil system? The oil system, craft oil 2K. You're going to wire brush? I mean, that was 4 or 5 years ago. That was a star of training, and now it's it's all chroma and uh, traffic raw, HD raw. Because I think, like you're saying, people love that look of the oil, but
Mhm.
it's got its limitations. Where the raw, HD raw, just gives you such strength, durability, chemical resistance, all that stuff that this guy sounds like he's running into.
Yeah. Just off, kind of off topic. I've also seen floors that have that wire brushed look to them, but have such a really low sheen that you don't really notice the wire brushing as much. But when you put a more of a higher sheen on it, it stands out more. And I,
There
I
is
think,
absolutely no doubt about that.
yeah.
That
So,
is the craziest. We did a training up in Toronto a few years ago, and the they wanted wire brushed as black could be. And so we did our whole sport paint thing with the clear seal, wire brushed, and I mean, Wayne, it looked so good. I'm thinking I'm doing that on my office floor. I want
mhm,
that on my
yeah,
floor. I know Pauline won't go for it. No
yeah,
way.
yeah.
But I might be able to do it in my office. And at the time we didn't have HD raw. We had what was the other one that traffic
Natural.
natural, yes.
Yeah.
So we put a coat of natural on that, and we came back. Now we put it on that night, and we came back, and it looked fantastic. But we were looking at wet finish, and we came back the next day,
Hmm.
and it looked like a chalkboard.
Yeah.
I mean, it completely disappeared,
Yep.
like unbelievable. Jordan and I looked at each other like, well, we got to scrape this off before anybody
Mhm.
gets here.
Yeah.
It was so after that we kind of told the class, hey, look, you know what? We all just learned something.
Yeah,
If you're gonna go, you got to go with satin, semi-gloss. Stay away from those really, really low sheen products because you're absolutely right. Without that reflective value, you
yeah,
lost that wire brush look big time. I
yeah,
was couldn't believe it. Like I said, it looked like a chalkboard from
yeah.
across the room. Nuts.
And it's weird. It's weird because I'll tell you another story here, but um, it changes it completely. So you wasted the wire brushing to me on that low sheen like that. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
absolutely.
So I know a guy that I was on a job where the hand scraped the entire house. I mean, you know how hard it is to hand scrape a floor? I mean, hand scrape. Was it? No, it wasn't a. It was a. It was I can't remember what it was. I think it was a Doug fir. It was not Doug fir. I can't remember what it was. Anyhow, but hand scraped the entire job. Okay, I mean, labor intensive hand scraping. And we got done. I went, oh my God, that's beautiful. I mean, you see that hand scraping, all the texture and everything is beautiful. Put a low sheen finish on it. You couldn't see the hand scraping.
Yeah,
Ruined it.
exactly.
Ruined it.
It's crazy.
There's
You
so
got to
many,
go with semi-gloss because
but
even satin takes away a little bit of it.
anything's better than Matt. Um, so there's, like I said, in this industry is, man, there's so many ways that things can change on you. You know what I mean? That with best intentions, that like you guys put that on there thinking it was going to look beautiful, and it ruined the look of the floor. So I think that's why samples are so important, even if it's a pain to do samples. I think guys are more creative doing samples now than ever. We talked about that before. We used to do them behind a refrigerator, behind a stove, because you know it's going to be covered
Yeah,
up and whatever. Now these guys are doing samples are half the size of the damn floor in
right.
samples. So, um,
That's another great part of Traffic Go. That's another really awesome part of the Traffic Go is now you don't have to mix up
to do a sample,
a small portion
yeah,
of Traffic HD. Now you can just have a little Traffic Go, give it a shake, put it out there, and you're going to get
yeah,
that same look.
yeah.
So for
The,
samples, can't miss with Traffic Go.
yeah. So the only reason I bring this scenario up because it's going to be such a heartbreaker for this guy to dealing with this, and the homeowner completely thinks it's his fault. Um, and like I said, it was a beautiful install, and it's just not holding up to just basic household stains and stuff. It's a pre-finished floor, and when you say that it's aluminum oxide on there, well, I mean I think aluminum oxide is like the fourth hardest substance known to man. This right here is the
Oh, that
third.
that there? Yeah.
The third, my
Oh,
gun,
that
my
that's number
my my,
three.
my
Yeah,
bicep. Yeah, I can't even feel it
it
anymore.
definitely.
Yeah. And there are other scenarios like that where uh, completely out of control to the contractor that we can be on the hook for, and that's why I'm so big on the contracts. I'm so big on maintenance, proper maintenance. So you don't get yourself out of trouble that way too. That I inform the consumer on how to take care of the floors. We gave them a schedule. We gave them a thing about not dragging heavy stuff across the floor. Talk about the dog's nails. Talk about all these type of things. Just as CYA type of things
Yeah,
that you know they're only important until it's a problem, right?
right.
Then they're unimportant. They're like, oh, whatever. I don't have to do it on 100 different jobs. It didn't matter that I did it, but one job that it does matter, yeah, then you'd be glad you had it. So,
So how are we going to help this guy out? What are we going to do?
well, I think he's got a couple options, and both are bad. One is replace boards, but there's a lot of them. All right,
Right.
but even then, would you feel good about living on that floor if you were the consumer?
Probably not. Is this
No.
a wire brush floor?
Yep.
It is wire
So
brushed.
yeah. So you got to replace boards, and then I would coat the entire floor myself because I
Yep.
wouldn't feel good about it. Or sand and refinish the whole floor, and then wire brush the whole floor, because you got to bring that look back and then finish it, which will be a better job at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But it's all that entails. So
So, another thing we can talk to this guy about is our recoat system. If it wasn't wire brushed and I was having issues, because it's not that we had issues, but in the past, we have seen some pre-sealed and pre um, pre-finished sport floors. But sometimes this aluminum oxide comes in so hard that it was tough to get paint and
mhm,
finish on these things. So if it wasn't wire brushed, I was going to recommend, hey, we got a great system. Hit it with prep, do the prep with the maroon pads, let that dry. First do the prep system where you don't let it dry, but you wipe it off. And then when it's all dry after you've done the prep system, go back and hit it with the diamonds. The diamond discs are an absolute freaking game changer for these pre-sealed or these pre-finished aluminum oxide floors. Where
yeah.
before we really didn't have any answers. Now with the diamond, it's it's simple. I mean
Well,
that's really why we moved the diamonds over to our recoat and screen and coat systems and everything, because those diamonds are just the most amazing thing you've ever worked with when it comes to that.
that was always the dilemma, is that I gotta get a mechanical scratch in the floor, but I'm going to put such a deep scratch in the floor that I'm gonna have swirl marks everywhere.
Yes.
But now
Yeah.
with the diamonds,
The
it's a different
diamonds.
game.
It's a completely different it really would blow you away. I mean, crazy. But with this one, this is where we have to go to our other system. This is where we have to go to the recoat system, because the diamonds, as much as they would work, they're just not going to get down into where the soft grain got dished out from the wire brush. So the
Mhm.
diamond's just going to kind of pass over it.
Yeah.
So with the recoat system, that's the way to go with this, because the recoat system was made for hand scraped, wire brushed, uh, distressed,
Mhm.
the saw cut floor. You know what I mean? All
Yeah.
those,
Yeah.
that abrasive brush. Boy, if you haven't fooled around with that, you should, because that abrasive brush with the Bona Remove chemical on it, I think that would definitely help this guy out, or at least try a room, and I think
Yeah.
he'd be shocked how good it's going to work.
Yeah.
So we got some answers for him.
Yeah. This is what we talk about training going to the school. Well, you might know 90% of things that you before you go into the school. Or you might have been doing floors for 35 years and think, I really I know everything in here because you know so much. But these little things that you just add them to the toolbox that could get you out of a jam down the road. That you may not need them until one job comes along, but you got the answer when nobody else has. Man, it's worth a lot of money.
Hell yeah. Money
Yeah.
ho, baby. All right. So not only do we recommend, like I said, if it wasn't wire brush, we'd definitely be going with prep and the diamonds. But where it is the wire brush, or if it was distressed or hand scraped or something like that, then we're going to go with the Bona Recoat system and really utilize that abrasive brush, because that's what's going to get down into all that, soft grain dish out and things like that.
Mhm.
And then the other thing with these systems, and this is the best part, we highly recommend coating it with the Traffic HD products, because the Traffic HD products, the hardened product, nothing is going to give you better adhesion to a floor. Nothing.
Yeah.
And that's what we're looking for with these pre-finished aluminum oxide floors. You need something that you could almost get away without doing anything. That stuff will stick to everything. I probably shouldn't have said that, but
Mhm.
we want you to go with the systems. But that's how good that Traffic HD is. So with both systems, the prep system or the Bona Recoat system, that's a huge recommendation from us, is to stick with the Traffic HD product, because we know that is going to give you your best shot at really a great adhesion.
Yeah.
Because that's what you run into sometimes with these pre-finished floors. It's hard to get anything to stick to it, but we've got two phenomenal systems that are, that was made just for that system. I
Yeah.
mean, they originally were made for those systems. The
Yeah.
Recode system was made for the wire brush, and the prep system was made for the aluminum oxide breakdown. So, we got a couple guns, a couple bullets for the gun there.
Yeah, and I told him if it comes to push comes to shove, and they are going to sand and refinish it, certainly that's one I would probably do start to finish with the power drive, because you don't want to take off much wear layer off that floor, and then you can change the color to whatever. You know what I mean?
Right.
You're not locked into the whatever color. So, yeah, there you go. I just thought, I see contractors get involved in a situation like this, or they get on the hook because they're the ones that did the work. But really, this is a manufacturing thing. It's not a contractor error. You did everything you were supposed to do, and but knowledge is power. So maybe if you run into that, especially with these low sheen products, that really the only way I think you can achieve those with the aluminum oxides is to put them on really thin coats, really, really thin. And again, if you introduce the wire brushing, to me, you've introduced, that's a recipe for having issues down the road, right?
Absolutely.
All right,
Yes.
and there's maybe a couple solutions. Okay, this has been another episode of On the Floor with Wayne and Rob. Please stay tuned for another episode.